In a world full of conventional Hollywood cliches and recurring lackluster sequels, one critic has seen it all, who can provide you with all the movie news, opinions, and reviews that could very well save humanity as we know it. This is Libby's Movie Hunt. And now, your host, Libby Hunt.
Welcome to Libby's Movie Hunt. I'm your host, Libby Hunt, along with Kevin E.
Hey, Libby. Happy Friday.
You too. I'm so glad it's the weekend. So glad to see all of you. Thanks for tuning in every week at 2 o'clock on Vocal. Well, it's Vocal Now. No, Vocal.
You know, we're all over. I can't even keep track of it these days. WatchOnOurLive.com and VocalNow.com.
VocalNow.com is what I'm starting to put. VocalNow.com. But we're glad you're here. And I forgot to mention last week that one of my favorite directors died, Jonathan Demme. Were you a fan of his work? Silence of the Lambs?
I was not too familiar with it. I mean, I've seen a lot of it, but didn't know exactly who he made those films.
But you know, Silence of the Lambs, it's right up there with one of them. It's in my, I would think, I need to make sure that's in my top 10.
Just last week, we were talking about how we love serial killer stories. There's another one.
Well, those books and the whole series, those books are so good. No, those are I'm thinking of Dragon Tattoo. I can't think.
Red Dragon is one of I think the first of the Silence of the Lambs
That's
ones.
right. Yeah, I am right. That's
Red Dragon, and then Silence of the Lambs, and then Hannibal.
Exactly. They were all so good. See, and
I like all of them.
Hannibal, the TV series, I loved, and it went away.
It went away. I thought it had a huge following.
I loved it. I'm hoping that it'll come back. It was only around Mads Mikkelsen or whatever played Hannibal. Oh, I loved him.
Yes, from he was in Casino Royale.
He's so good. He's so weird looking that he's handsome. I don't know what it's so. I don't know. It's strange.
Did you ever see the Hannibal prequel movie that came out? Hannibal Rising?
Yes. It was okay. It was kind of gross.
It was really
They're
gross.
all gross.
They're all gross, but
they're good.
Yeah.
But Silence of the Lambs was the first, I don't know, of that kind of, I think it was the first of that kind of serial killer movie that was so good. And, Anthony Hopkins was only on the screen like a total of maybe 13 minutes.
He's a minor character, and he won.
Won the Academy Award. He was so good. My dad still likes to quote that scene where he says, I'll eat him with a nice
I ate his liver with some fava beans.
And a nice Chianti. But, oh my gosh. So, to me, it's a classic movie. So, and Jonathan Demme was such a great director. He also did Philadelphia, which I love, with
great movie.
Denzel Washington and Tom Hanks. He did Married to the Mob with Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm not sure who else was in that. He did Something Wild. Do you remember that movie with Jeff Daniels and Melanie? We were talking about it earlier.
Melanie Griffith?
Melanie Griffith.
I don't know that
Such
movie.
a good movie. But I don't know. Jonathan Demme, the director, had cancer, I guess, about 10 or 15 years ago.
Because he was a relatively young guy, right?
Yeah, 73.
Yeah.
And it came back, and I saw some pictures of him recently. Didn't look too good. So I'm sad always when a wonderful artist has passed away. I feel like we've had a lot of deaths this year.
That is true. A lot of big ones.
Hollywood.
Yep.
So, okay, we will get to some kind of TV stuff in a minute. There aren't a lot of great movies out right now. We were talking about that last week.
It's a bit of a slum.
I know.
Right now, but yeah.
Like this last weekend came out, and I haven't gotten to see it yet, The Circle with Tom Hanks and Emma Watson.
Right. I was actually excited for this movie.
Science fiction-y kind of movie, 25% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep, down to a 22 now.
Like, I think I may not go, and I see everything.
I know, and I'm like, I hate to see Tom Hanks in a movie that's panned because he's so great. And this was panned unanimously. I mean, critics, audiences alike. As a 34% audience rating, 22 critics out of 37. I mean, ugh.
It must be really bad.
It has to be bad.
I know.
But I like these actors, and I liked the premise. I thought it looked really cool.
When Emma Watson's kind of on a roll right now for Beauty and the Beast. Now, that was a great movie. Love that. Did you ever go see Beauty and the Beast?
I did not.
Your girlfriend didn't drag you?
No.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't think she's seen it yet, actually.
Oh, she'd love it. She'd love it. Y'all need to
I would definitely see it.
Oh, it's really, really good. I think it's still out. Okay, well, The Circle's out. And then another movie that's out that people like, it's called Gifted. And it's got 64% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I'll tell you who's in it.
Ah, yes.
Chris Evans. He was Captain America.
Sure.
He was in Cellular.
Yeah, that was kind of his first breakout with Kim Basinger.
Well, he plays a single man who is raising his niece who's gifted. And also, Darlene Octavia Spencer, I think, plays a social worker or school teacher. And then there's this little girl in it, McKenna Grace. She was also in Mr. Church last year with Eddie Murphy, which wasn't very good. She plays the gifted daughter. And I think she's actually from like Grapevine, Texas.
Really?
But this movie, Gifted, I don't know why I'm not dying to see it. Everybody that told me that's seen it likes it, and it got 64% on Rotten Tomatoes. So why aren't I wanting to see it?
Yeah, it's not enough to get me excited about it.
I'm not excited about it.
No, and I mean, 64 is technically fresh. It has a decent audience rating, 86%. But yeah, I'm just not. No.
I may pass on that one. Because some people are like, do you see everything? And I'm like, I kind of do.
Much,
but sometimes I'm just, like that Free Fire didn't appeal to me. Certain things I'm just like, I don't know.
Well, it has a decent, at least it's a short run time. It's only 100 minutes. So.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I still want to see The Circle, kind of.
I know. Because
I don't think I will.
Well, because it's science fiction, right?
It's science fiction. It's got Tom Hanks. It seemed like a cool story. It's a bummer, though.
I know, but since Tom Hanks, I'm more likely to see that than Gifted. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, me too. Definitely.
Because I just love. There's certain actors you don't even care. You just want to see them.
It's difficult not to be entertained by Tom Hanks on screen.
Right. We would love it.
He's always great.
I know. So the only other movie I can recommend, you don't have any other movies to talk about today.
I don't. I'm exclusively TV today.
Okay. I will tell y'all about The Lost City of Z. Do you know anything about this story?
I don't know anything about the story. I know that it has Charlie Hunnam in it because
Yes.
I'm a big fan of his. He played the central protagonist on Sons of Anarchy.
Yes.
For 7 seasons. Very good actor. Pretty good at doing an American accent. You could tell sometimes, but I always thought he was great.
Sons of Anarchy is a show that I think I would love because it has so many people I love in it.
You would. I
like
mean,
the guy
don't
that
expect too much substance. I mean, that is a little ridiculous, but it's still really cool.
Well, one of the actors from it did my favorite movie this year, Hell or High Water. He's the director of that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor Sheridan. No, Taylor. Somebody Taylor.
Yeah.
Taylor something. But, okay, The Lost City of Z got 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. And it's about the British explorer Percy Fawcett. He was sent over there to explore, and he took along with him Henry Costin, played by Robert Pattinson. You know Robert Pattinson, famous for Twilight movies. And the only other good movies I think Robert Pattinson has been in were Water for Elephants and Remember Me. But he was pretty good in this. He plays definitely a supporting role, though, and to me, he's such a star. It is definitely a supporting character.
And what's the source material?
So what the movie? You want to know what the movie's about?
Yeah.
Okay, so this guy goes
I got kind of an idea, but not
to
really.
the Amazon in the dawn of the 20th century and discovers evidence of an unknown civilization. And it's about the year 1925, and it's just this like story of courage and passion that Percy Fawcett character, has a family of his own in the UK, and he continues to go back to the Amazon and look. He would bring back pottery and things, and they thought there was trails. They thought there was a whole underground city at some point, and nobody had ever discovered it. And he kept bringing stuff back, and nobody would ever believe him. And it was always unclear if it ever really was
right.
Really there. And just in like 1990 something, they found the city he said that was there in 1925. He had found it in 1925, and he had found evidence of it, like ruins and clay and things, and all the natives told him about it, but they found it.
I love stories like this.
They found it, so he was, that's what's fun about it. But one thing,
and I feel like there's got to be a bunch of these. I love these kind of stories about these lost, hidden civilizations.
Exactly. Well, he kept coming upon in the Amazon, though, like cannibals and just different tribes. It was scary. But his last trek back over there, I think it's his third or fourth time back to the Amazon to still find more stuff. He never returns with one other guy. And the guy, Henry Costin, didn't go with him this time. He took his son. His son was grown by then. He took his son, and they never returned.
And there could be any number of things that... Yeah.
So, and that's
kind of a creepy ending.
Interesting. Yeah, he didn't return.
But saga.
Well, only thing, my son and I saw this movie that we didn't understand is they kept making you think, because this one guy that goes on this thing with him, the expedition, is like not a believer in his and came back and said he was, a loon and all this. In the movie, they keep making you think maybe he really didn't find it because he would be the only one that would come upon it. Nobody else would.
Right.
So you're like, well, why are they...
It's kind of confusing.
Yeah, when you'll see what I mean. You're like, why are they taking you down that road that they make you think it's not happening. I mean, I don't know, because it did. They found
Maybe
the
it's for
city.
people who aren't familiar with this. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
That is weird.
It was weird.
It's a narrative decision that I'm not sure why.
Yeah, if you saw it, you would be confused by
Yeah.
it. Sienna Miller plays his wife, Nina Fawcett. You know, she's, beautiful Sienna Miller. She was last in Miller.
Yes.
American Sniper. She plays his long-suffering wife, and she's just beautiful and wonderful. You would think her role wouldn't be real big in this, but they cut back to her a lot. So
she actually is a pretty central character. And it's got a decent runtime. I mean, it's pushing 2 hours and 20 minutes.
It's long. I didn't feel like it was too long, though. Sometimes
It actually was paced pretty well.
I liked it. I think is it something you'd see?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I really liked it.
In fact, of everything, when we were talking about between Circles, Gifted, and Lost City of Z is hands down the one I would pick every time.
When he named it The Lost City of Z, he made up some name that began with a Z. That's why they call it that. But I love that they found it.
Yeah.
So I
it's
think
very cool.
Have I told you too much though? Oh, I probably kind of told the.
Well, it's the truth. I mean, it's like saying you spoiled the end of Titanic. Like,
yeah.
everybody already knows.
Well, people are a lot of times. My son, of course, had done this. He Googled the whole story, and actually, he knew the story. I'm like, of course you did. He's
I do
read
that
like
a lot too.
4,000, but he knew everything about this story. And actually knew that they'd found the lost city underground in the Amazon. Isn't it weird to think, though, that in 1925, he was going to the Amazon, and there were tribes out there that had never seen white people. I mean, isn't that weird?
Really odd.
There still may be a couple of
I would think
places
so.
out there in the world that I just think that's fascinating. He was shot with arrows and darts, and oh my gosh. I don't know, these adventure and explorers, that's just not in my skill set.
No. I'm fine being safe and sound here.
I know. That doesn't sound good to me.
I don't need to go on any expeditions.
Especially back then when they just didn't have anything.
Oh, I know.
Well, okay,
it's like
that's
real life Indiana Jones.
Oh, I know. Oh, do you know? That's what my son said. Indiana Jones movies are based on him.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's so funny you brought that up.
That's pretty cool.
And some of these other adventure movies are, based on his character.
That's
the
awesome.
Adventurer. Isn't
One of
that
my
funny?
favorite movie characters of all time.
Yeah, that's where this came from. So there you go. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. See, that's what you need to have another movie nerd
That's
in the
why
room.
I need a sidekick.
So the sidekick. Okay, so really, I'm sorry to say, y'all, there aren't a lot of movies to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about TV. Tell us about Fargo, which I've never watched. I love the movie. Huge fan of the movie. Kevin, tell me about
Okay,
Fargo.
Fargo.
How many seasons has it been?
This is its third season. It's an anthology series, meaning each season is a completely separate story. They're somewhat connected, but they switch around in time a lot. First one's in present day. Second season's in the 70s. This one's back to present day.
Oh.
And so none of them really have anything to do with the other, which I kind of think is cool. It's like what they did with True Detective, except they're actually able to make it work with Fargo.
But in
True
Fargo,
Detective
is it
fell
all
apart.
the same characters?
No.
Oh, so each season has been totally different characters.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Except Keith Carradine from the first season plays a retired cop who now owns a diner. And in the 70s season, he's a cop when he's young, played by Patrick Wilson. Okay. So, I mean, sometimes they do have other characters that are from the other ones, but they're not really too linked. And only the first one, I believe, is really linked to the Fargo film in any way.
Well, are all of them, they follow around a murder investigation like the movie?
It's always a bunch of different things. Yeah, basically a bunch of haphazard criminals getting into mischief, and the cops that are trying to make sense of it all. And it's always very gritty. A lot of good comedy. Of course, the accents are very likable.
Fargo.
Yes, there's plenty of that.
Yeah. And they go, yeah.
I don't know how realistic that is or how overdone it is, but they definitely play it up.
I think it's pretty realistic.
So Billy Bob Thornton was in the first season. He played
That's right.
Lorne Malvo, a great character. And then I liked the first season. I don't think it was as great as the second season.
Oh.
Second season really took it to the next
one that
level.
took place in the 70s.
Yes, that one is awesome. I love it. I don't know that I'm agreeing so far with season 3 as much as the critics are.
Okay.
I think I read the
critics are
article.
liking it.
Oh, they love it. It's
Okay.
97% on Rotten. I read this article yesterday from a guy who, the exact same standpoint of me, says, I feel like with this new season of Fargo, they're handing you a Big Mac and trying to convince you they're serving you a steak. And I feel the same way.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it has the narrative heft and the substance that it thinks it does.
Right.
I don't like the Ewan McGregor characters as much as some of the other ones. But it
he's in
did
it.
just start, and there are now, I think there are only 2 episodes out.
I think so.
I've watched the premiere, and I still think it could be great, but it hasn't roped me in the way the first 2 seasons did so far. I mean, the first episode of Fargo season 2 was amazing. I did not feel that way about season 3. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep track of it. I'm definitely not giving up on it.
How many seasons was Bates Motel? 4?
4.
So again, they're taking...
Or was it 5?
It feels like it was 5.
Yeah, it might have been 5.
But again, they're taking a beloved movie and making it a movie. That's
very risky.
A show. That's risky, and the risk is paid off.
I was shocked that it worked.
Like, in the original Fargo movie, they put the body in the wood chipper. Is it that kind of gritty, gross?
Yes, absolutely. Season 2 really brings the violence.
Well, which is what I think what was so quirky about the original Fargo movie, where they were kind of like the Keystone Cop, kind of goofy cops and robbers, but they were evil.
Yes, it's just like that. It carries on that same tone incredibly well.
Which was funny but sick.
Yes, it was. But the one thing that's lacking, and I don't know, maybe... FX does an excellent job of this, but sometimes it messes with the realism. You cannot say the F word on FX. I mean, you can say anything else, but you cannot say that. And it's like that language and that crude stupidity and the way these kind of guys are, that's almost essential to building. I don't know why.
I know, yeah.
But it's almost an important character in a way, like the bad language, which they don't, but they're really, really good at tiptoeing around it where you don't even notice because it's still such adult content.
Why do you even know that FX can't use cuss words? Did you look that up?
No, I just know because it's still technically a basic cable channel. So unless it's a premium and you're paying, you can't say the F word. You can, but you have to bleep it out, which I actually prefer because that's what Breaking Bad did. And then when you watch the DVDs or you watch on Netflix, it's uncensored.
Really?
Yeah, but they didn't curse very often on Breaking Bad.
No, they didn't.
Only a handful of times. But I would prefer that. But they did the same thing with The Shield. It was a great, gritty cop show. Yeah. Never dropped the F-bomb. So they're really good at making you notice, like, kind of forget about it, but it is an element that I wish was there.
You wish it was there.
I do. But yeah, it's still very good.
What did we talk about before that? Bates Motel, Fargo, Dexter. They're all so good.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love those kind of shows. They're my favorite. I love watching people doing bad things. I hate it. Even Mad Men is pretty much is like that as well.
I've got to watch Mad Men. Everybody tells me I'd love it.
Oh, you'd love it. They're all on Netflix. Definitely watch it.
Why haven't I watched that? I don't know.
It took me a while to get into it. I thought it was really slow and boring, and I was like, nope, never going to like it. I probably tried it 3 times before I actually got into it. And how I got into it was just there was randomly a marathon on TV because the final season was coming up. And I just jumped in on an episode, and I was like, wow, that was really cool. And then I just ended up binge watching that whole thing and watched the final season and then went back and started from the beginning. And now I love it. It's great.
Well, Fargo, the Coen brothers directed that, right?
Yes.
Did they write it?
I think so.
So I wonder if they have anything to do with this writing.
I think they're producers. I'm not sure exactly what they're... I think they are connected some way.
You know, another show that's different each season has Timothy Hutton and Felicity Huffman is that American Crime.
Yes.
And I'm not liking that. This is the 3rd season, and I'm not liking it as much. Did you watch it at all?
No.
It's not good.
I'm more into, what is it called? I think it's called American Crime Story, the People versus O.J. Simpson.
Oh, yes.
And the other seasons don't sound as interesting to me, but we'll see.
That is not the one where it had the TV show that it's an actual series?
Yeah, it was like a fictional, or not fictionalized, but a dramatization.
But is it the movie one, like that's broken into 8 pieces, or is it an actual series?
It's an actual series.
Is it the one with John Travolta?
Yes.
Okay, yes, I saw that. I thought
it was great. Yeah.
Really, really good.
Really entertaining.
Really
Another show about killers.
I know.
But,
What's the deal?
Allegedly.
Yeah. Please.
But it's funny, another show that has to do with death, but kind of one that's outside. I wanted to talk about 13 Reasons Why. And that's one that's completely outside of my normal type of TV choice.
Yeah. So tell me about that. I'm seeing all these things from mothers on Facebook and the internet and stuff that it's about a girl that commits suicide and she says the 13 reasons why. So I think that's just such a bad message. But people say it's done well.
It is, and it's based off a book, I believe. And yes, it's she records on a cassette tape 13 tapes for 13 different people, each one saying what they did to cause her killing herself. One person's actually on there twice.
But that was just so sad to those people.
It is, and this is what I don't get about the controversy. People are saying that it's glamorizing suicide, and I did not get that.
You don't get that feeling?
Not at all.
Okay.
If anything, I get much stronger anti-bullying and type vibe from it, and like really seeing the ugliness that can exist in high school. But it's almost unreal. I think it's unrealistic that the amount of stuff this girl goes through. It's like, okay, you would have a crazy high school life if one of these things happened to you.
Oh, exactly.
But there's just so many piled on that I'm like, oh my God, like it is almost more than one person could handle.
How does she kill herself? Do they even say?
I don't know that you.
Maybe find out later.
No, I think they do show it. I'm trying to remember though. I think she slits her wrist.
But I know the teenagers are watching it. And as parents, we're all going, I don't know if I feel comfortable with them watching this.
It very much appeals to that age group is maybe the problem. Like,
Right.
you'd say maybe a more mature person, but a more mature person isn't probably going to get into it as much like me because you notice things like
Right.
overacting and unrealistic house parties and stuff that doesn't really happen. It's also drawn out really bad. Because it's 13 episodes for each tape.
Yes.
Each one is an hour, and I don't think that's necessary. And it's not a cable network hour where you have commercials, so it's actually
Right.
more like 43 minutes.
Exactly.
It's a full hour every time, and it really drags. I mean, there's a good portion of the first episode that's just a character trying to find a cassette player because they're not around anymore to even play the tapes.
Okay.
And I'm like, you
Why
guys
did
could
she
have
do
done
them
this.
on a cassette? Because yeah.
I don't. You
knows?
could have trimmed it down so much.
I've heard that.
There's times where you'll feel like you're watching the same scene again. You're watching the same episode almost again because it's all similar. And it's like you guys could have condensed this. And I think they could have done 13 half-hour episodes, and it would have been just fine.
Well, are you watching it? Are you done with it?
It took me a while. This is one that I did not get into right away because when my mom was in here, I had just seen the first couple episodes, and I wasn't totally sold yet. But around episode 4 or 5 is when I really started to get into it and was just watching them back to back to back to back to
Right.
back until I just completely finished it. So it is enjoyable. Its source material does not have any kind of like sequel or continuation.
Right.
But they also changed the ending to make it where you could definitely have another series. And I hope they do because there's zero conflict resolution at the end. That's what I hate the most about it. It's like I want to see these people that did these bad things
Exactly.
get their, I want to find out what happens to them.
But I think that's just so mean to do those people. Then the rest of their life, they have to live. I mean,
Yeah. There's a lot of cruelty in it, a lot of difficult scenes to watch. They do show, there's graphic depictions of suicide, rape, all
that's what I
kinds of
heard.
yes.
That's real hard. That would be hard. Kids shouldn't be seeing that.
No matter what, any time, I always say,
Yeah.
because I've watched the grittiest, gnarliest horror movies
Right.
there ever are, the one scenes like I can never watch in movies or TV are rape scenes. It's just
I
so
know.
horrible. Like
I
in
know.
The Sopranos, every time I skip that episode, every
Which
time
one?
I rewatch it.
Oh,
when his psychiatrist
Yes.
is raped. I'm like, I can't
Yes.
can't watch it. So that's difficult to watch, and I don't know that it's geared as much towards kids. I mean, it definitely has a lot of adult content, a lot of adult language. They definitely do drop the F-bomb a lot on this show. So, I mean, it's very mature. I think you just have to be careful about what your kids are watching. But I don't think it in any way paints suicide in a good way.
Yeah.
And the main character is very well acted. The central characters are pretty well acted.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of characters that are just super cheeseball. They're like caricatures of high school people. Like the jocks are like cartoon characters.
You're like, please.
It's ridiculous.
Nobody really acts like that.
Yes.
Are there any actors or actresses we know in it? Or are they all kind of up and coming?
God, I'm trying to think. No, I don't think there's
Yeah.
a single one that I know. But
Isn't that
the
funny?
central protagonist, it does a really good job.
Well, if you're a mom, you can only imagine the Facebook stuff that you see about it. Like all these groups that I'm in, mother groups, and they just say it's not good.
I know all these people saying and I can get that.
Yeah.
For
Well, teenagers
someone
can
who's
be
15 or something, it's not appropriate, probably.
Right. Well, teenagers can be so impulsive, but usually when people kill themselves, it's because they really are sick and we don't even know.
Yeah.
This is more like she's doing it out of spite or something, which I'm like,
And that's exactly. And if parents are worried that they're going to idolize these characters
Right.
in a way, and kind of
I'm glad to
perpetuate
hear
this
you
bad
say
behavior,
though, that
I don't think that would at all happen. I don't think there's anything in there that makes it.
it deters people more. They're like, ooh.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
hopefully it does send an anti-bullying deal because I hate that. Why is that even still going on?
I don't know.
Bullying? But it just does.
There's no character to idolize in the show,
Right.
really, in my opinion.
I know.
There's nobody really particularly good. So I don't
Yeah.
get why that would.
Speaking of bullying, this made me think this is the 20th anniversary of the LA riots. And tonight, like on Dateline or 2020 or something, they're going to do a special on it. Or there might even be a TV show. Remember the LA riots and
Oh yeah,
what was that over?
Rodney King.
It was Rodney King. And then they beat up that white guy, that trucker just beat the pulp
Yep.
out of him and they rioted. And look for that tonight.
Definitely.
I don't know if it's a special but it looked kind of good.
It's one of those nights too. Girlfriend's gone. I can watch whatever I want.
Oh,
so
it is.
I'll
Yeah,
put that on there.
You put it on.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and I would say check out 13 Reasons though.
I'm going to. But like someone did say, a friend of mine said, and I trust her judgment. She's like, it's slow. You're gonna have a hard time.
It's a slow burn.
I know.
It is.
Well, it's like The Queen. The first one was a little slow, and I said, everybody just get through the first one. You will not be able to stop watching. Breaking Bad was maybe a little slow at first. I mean, there's certain things.
Slightly, but it had one of the most insane pilots ever.
Yeah. It wasn't slow. I'm wrong on that.
It did have seasons that were slow, most definitely.
A friend of mine,
Season 4,
you're right.
particularly.
There was one that was really slow.
Yeah.
The one he was in the basement working for the bad guy.
Yes,
that
exactly. Season 4.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, Better Call Saul.
Oh, yes, of course. I almost forgot.
So I'm loving it. It moves a little slower than I'd like. I'm ready to get things going. I'm loving that they're introducing past characters like the guy who owned the chicken restaurant, Gus.
Yes.
Isn't that his name?
Yeah, Gus Fring.
Yeah, but it's good.
Yes, it is very good. It's just you can't watch it. This is what I was saying when my mom was home. You can't watch it expecting to see Breaking Bad.
No.
It's its own complete separate thing. It just happens to be in that world. But it is funny. Every season kind of does the same thing. I'm guessing season 3 is no different.
Right.
They always start off really slow, and then it just continues to build and build and build. So by the end, you're like super into it. But I almost wish there would be an episode that's like shot out of a cannon. But it's like it's not that kind.
It's not
slow. Yeah, it is.
But like, I think we still haven't gotten there, and I think what drove Jimmy or Saul, as he goes by in Breaking Bad, to become such a bad lawyer is because of his brother. Is that what you're gathering?
Oh,
don't you
definitely.
Think? That it was his lie?
He's kind of poisoned him in a way.
I mean, he was already kind of shady, Jimmy was, but his brother just...
I mean, they show you when he was younger how he was a thief, a con man.
Yeah.
But you always saw his kinder, gentler, caring side towards his brother. He was always very good to his brother. And when you have the one person in your life that's like your family that you care for, and they're horrible to you, I mean, that's just only going to perpetuate the bad behavior, I would assume. So
it's interesting.
But I think that's exactly right, though. I think Chuck is the reason that he's...
Who's how he became Saul.
Yes.
Okay, so Kim, his girlfriend.
Kim, I wonder what happened. Yeah.
Well, this is... I watched one of those after Better Call Saul Q&As. Do you ever watch that afterwards?
Talking Saul? Yeah.
Well, they're saying, I'm like, in Breaking Bad, Kim may have been with him. They never showed Saul at home.
True.
So he may have stayed with Kim.
That's a good point.
I'm like,
that's what I was going to say. Whatever happened to Kim? I mean,
I would think she would leave him because
I would think they have a falling out.
He gets to be
crooked.
such a bad crooked.
Yeah.
I mean, he's never evil, but he's crooked.
Yes, definitely.
And I like the whole character with the bald guy who his character, seeing how he came about.
Oh, yeah, Mike. Yes, Mike is what. Yeah, he's my favorite character
and then
for
you
sure.
think about what happens to him in Breaking Bad, and you're like, oh, Mike.
That's what my mom was saying. The same thing. She's like, the more I watch it, she's like, I just don't believe that he would let Walt get the best of him and be able to walk up and shoot him. And I'm like, well, it happened.
It happened. I know. But a friend of mine, I told her about Breaking Bad, and she's wanted to go to lunch with me last week, and just talk about it. It was so funny. I said, it's the best thing that's ever been on TV. And she's like, you're right, but it's sick and twisted in some ways.
Definitely.
Why do I like it so much? It's about a meth, dealer. But I'm like, it's just the writing is superb.
And for some reason, I always still like the character, even though you're watching before your eyes. Like with Psycho, from the very beginning, Norman's going to be a killer. Where with Walt, you didn't know that this guy was going to descend into full-on villainy. I mean,
had no idea.
There's no way to know.
He was going to become completely unhinged.
Yes.
You didn't see that.
I don't think he knew that. Didn't know he was going to end up liking being a villain.
Don't you? I thought it was interesting at the end. He tells his wife all the reasons he did it, and then he said, I did it because
for me,
I liked it.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh.
That was like the big reveal, because his defense was always that it was for his family.
And then he's all of a sudden, I liked it. Okay, are we done?
How
have we talked
that
so
really
much?
Snuck up on me. We're already 29:30.
That went fast.
Really fast.
That was fun. Well, that was fun. Don't just go enjoy the movies. Go enjoy TV and the movies. Have a great weekend. Thanks.